Tonight, by candlelight, we make Tonkotsu Ramen, a bowl built not in minutes, but in days. From Hakata, a merchant quarter on the island of Kyushu, where street stall cooks have been coaxing marrow from bone for nearly a century. The name means pork, bone. Two simple words, 12 hours of rolling boil. What begins as water and bone and patience ends in a broth the color of fresh cream, cloudy, rich, heavy with collagen, heavy with memory. This is not a dish you rush. The bones must be coaxed, not commanded. Servings 4. 12 hours of preparation, 12 hours of cooking. Total time 24 hours. 3 pounds of pork neck bones, 1 pound of pork trotters, 1 pound of pork belly, 10 cloves of garlic, a ½ ounce of dried wood ear mushrooms, kikurage, 4 scallions, 2 tablespoons of sea salt, 1 piece of kombu, a 1/4 cup of mirin, a ½ cup of lard, 1 pound of wheat noodles, 4 whole eggs. Begin with cold water. Soak the bones for 12 hours. The cold draws out the blood, the myoglobin, the shadow that would otherwise cloud the broth in the wrong way. When the water turns rose, drain it. The bones are ready. Blanch the bones in boiling water, 30 minutes. A gray scum will rise to the surface. Skim it. Scrub each bone gently under cool water until every trace of blood is gone. This is the unglamorous beginning of every great broth. A quiet hour of cleaning before the long alchemy begins. Now, the long boil. Place the bones and the trotters in 4 quarts of water. Bring it to a hard, vigorous boil and keep it there 12 hours. Not a simmer, a rolling boil. This is what breaks the collagen from the bone, what emulsifies the fat into the water, what turns clear stock into white silk. Top up with hot water as it reduces. Do not let the boil rest. Wait! The kitchen fills with steam. The bones tumble against one another in the pot. The fat begins to dissolve, thread by thread, into the water. After hours, the broth turns from gray to ivory, to the color of moonlight on milk. This is the part you cannot hurry. The broth knows when it is finished, not before. While the bones surrender, braise the pork belly. 1 cup of water, a splash of mirin, a pinch of salt, 2 hours over low heat. The belly grows soft enough to part with the breath of a chopstick. In a small pan, blacken the garlic in lard until it turns the color of charcoal, then blend it smooth. This is mayu, the burnt garlic oil. Boil the eggs 6.5 minutes. Plunge them into ice water. Peel. The yolks will be soft, jammy, the color of late sun. Ajitama. Steep the kombu and sea salt in warm water at 176 degrees for 10 minutes. This is the shiotare, the salt heart of the bowl. Then, at last, assemble. 2 tablespoons of tara in the bottom of each warm bowl. Hot broth poured slowly over. Noodles, pork, egg, mushrooms, scallion. A spoonful of black garlic oil last. History and cultural origins. The story of ramen begins not in Japan, but across the sea. In the late 1800s, Chinese cooks arrived in the port of Yokohama. They brought hand-pulled wheat noodles in clear broth. The Japanese called it shina soba, Chinese noodles. For decades, it was a foreign curiosity, a traveler's meal. Then in 1937, in a small yatai, a street stall, in the city of Kurume, in Fukuoka Prefecture, a cook left his pork broth boiling too long. The water turned white, cloudy, thick with emulsified fat. He served it anyway. It was called tonkotsu, pork bone. The accident became a tradition. After the war, rice was scarce. American wheat flour arrived as aid. Across Japan, the small yatai carts that lined the train stations and the night markets began serving wheat noodles in hot broth. Cheap food for a hungry country. In Hakata, the merchant quarter of Fukuoka, the white tonkotsu broth became the signature of the south, of Kyushu, of the island closest to the continent and the farthest from Tokyo. Today, Hakata's yatai still glow in the dusk along the Naka River. Plywood walls, paper lanterns, 8 stools to a stall. It was here that another tradition was born. Kaedama, a second helping of noodles, dropped into the broth you have not yet finished, so that no one ever leaves hungry, so that the broth, so painstakingly made, is honored to the last drop. To serve, the broth must be near boiling, the bowl warm, the noodles thin and straight, cooked for less than a minute, the pork sliced thin enough to see candlelight through. Eat the noodles first, then the egg, then the pork, then the broth, last, drunk straight from the bowl, as it has always been done. Tonkotsu Ramen is the rarest kind of recipe, one born from an accident and refined into a ritual. It survives because it was never trying to be impressive. It was only trying to feed the cooks who stood by candle and steam, 12 hours in, waiting for the bones to give in, and the table, at last, is set. The full recipe is at recipyapp.com. Sleep softly. Until next time.